Before Beethoven, symphonies typically followed a well-mannered classical form. Beethoven's symphonies were revolutionary, big, explosive, dramatic, and emotional. Imagine the startled faces in the audience when they first heard the opening notes of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Those four simple notes, da-da-da-da, made history. And that first audience would never have expected Beethoven to repeat that same pattern in variations throughout the entire symphony. Beethoven was about to rock their world. Let's listen again and count along with these notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This time, pay attention to the length of the notes. Listen for the pattern that Beethoven uses here. 3 short notes and 1 long note. Short, 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 long. Short, 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 long. Short, 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 long. Music goes short and long. It also goes up and down. Music has high notes and low notes, and where the note is placed is called the pitch. The pitch can move in steps to the next note right beside it, up or down, for example. Or it can jump or leap to a note several tones away like this. We're going to listen to Beethoven's 4 notes again, and this time around, notice the notes. All music contains rhythm and pitch. Here, Beethoven repeats the same first pitch 3 times on the short note, and then jumps down to a lower pitch on the long 4th note. See if you hear it. Da-da-da-dum! Da-da-da-dum! It's a very simple pattern, and yet it still contains a memorable rhythm. Short, 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 long, and set of pitches. Da-da-da-da. In your cue sheet, we suggest that you play a quick game to mark the rhythm of these notes. Perhaps you want to try the game now while we listen to Beethoven's Fifth. It's not easy to keep the game going once the music speeds up. I mentioned before that Beethoven wrote many beautiful melodies, but he's not exactly working with a melody in his famous Fifth. This short series of 4 notes is known as a motif. Go ahead and say the word after me, motif. A motif is a single repeated pattern, and in music that usually means a short musical idea, one that gets repeated a lot. Part of the reason Beethoven's Fifth is so big, so memorable, is because of the way he used the motif. You hear this motif all through the Fifth Symphony, and the more you listen, you'll hear that each time the motif returns, Beethoven has changed it just a little bit. It could be faster or slower, higher or lower, or it could be reversed. That's the thing with a motif. It is a musical idea that returns or repeats. Listen carefully to the way Beethoven changes the opening motif of the Fifth Symphony. Did he make it faster? No. Slower? No. Did he change the pitches? Yes. The notes are slightly lower the second time around. Let's listen one last time. As the Fifth Symphony moves on, Beethoven changes that motif like crazy. In this work, Beethoven doesn't rely on melody or a recognizable tune. Instead, he repeats this same motif over and over, changing it slightly each time it's heard. He hands it off to different instruments. He changes the speed, he changes the pitch, he changes the key. Although Beethoven experiments with his motif in many ways, one thing he never changes is the basic rhythm. The motif is always 1, 2, 3, 4, or short, 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 long, with Beethoven varying the length of the fourth note. As the music speeds up, there isn't always time for that dramatic short, 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 long treatment. Listen to how fast it gets in this section. Let's listen to that again. See if you can count that tight rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You might think that Beethoven would run out of variations, but that is not true. What he did in his Fifth Symphony was to repeat this motif throughout the entire work, changing instruments and sometimes jumping up instead of down, not just in the first movement, but in all 4 movements. In the final movement, Beethoven moves from the darker mood created by the minor key into an open and more hopeful-sounding major key. The difference between major keys and minor keys is slight, but the slight shift in tone usually moves listeners from a dark, tense place to a more open and positive space. Imagine traveling through a dark tunnel and ending up in the sunshine. The dark end of the tunnel is played in a minor key. The light at the end of the tunnel is performed in a major key. In the final movement, we can still hear Beethoven's motif, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but it is in a happy and hopeful major key. We've heard all the ways that Beethoven made his Fifth Symphony something for the ages. He took a simple musical idea, then played with things like rhythm and pitch. He moved it across the orchestra, so different instruments added their voices. That 1, 2, 3, 4 sounds simple enough, But in Beethoven's music, it builds into a big, majestic theme that people have not been able to get out of their heads for 200 years. Try it. Sing da-da-da-da to someone you know, and I'll bet they'll say, "That's Beethoven."